All right, everybody, what's going on? Welcome to THS Wrestling. This week, in the great sport of professional wrestling, my name is John. Thank you for joining us. I know Bloodsport's not over yet, so don't give me those Moxley-Dickinson results, but from what I saw, it looked like a banger so far. Thank you for joining us. Matthew says the Lakers still suck. I assume that means they won. And if you win the whole thing, technically you don't suck. I'm sorry.
And if they did win, congratulations. Congratulations.
I got a hat. Jimmy in the chat. What's up, Jimmy? Guys, how's it going? Johnny, Justin, thank you for joining me.
Is that why Neeson couldn't make it? Is he a Lakers fan? Is that what happened here?
No. He
had some other business to attend.
That's what they say. He probably wanted to be a part of the Lake Show.
I'm sorry. I am not joined by Johnny. I'm sorry. I am joined by WWE Retribution member Bike Lock. I'm sorry.
What's up, Bike Lock?
Johnny is my NXT name. Bike Lock is my main roster name. The Bike Lock's here. John, what's the combination?
That's actually pretty good. Final 106.93 Lake Show. They did it.
Damn! Congratulations.
Yeah.
Go King James.
LeBron hasn't earned the last two. See, you're trying to get a rile out of me, and I really don't watch the sport. So, Ian, condolences, sir.
Sorry for your loss, Ian.
Sorry for your loss, sir.
Condolences.
So, we're going to talk about AEW. We're going to talk about Retribution. We have a member of Retribution, so we should probably talk about Retribution. We're going to talk about the draft, and we're going to talk about NXT. And anybody that has any questions, drop them in the chat. We will get to them. Thank you for joining us on your Sunday evening. But before we get to all of that, guys, deathwishcoffee.com. Use the promo code just hashtag show. Just hashtag show. The strongest coffee in the world, in the universe. Now, if you need a wake up call, thinking that maybe the Lakers didn't deserve to win, even though they won the whole thing, just drink some Death Wish coffee, and you'll open your third eye, and you'll figure all that stuff out.
Or if you're partying tonight because the Lakers did win, and you're gonna have a hangover in the morning, and you need a little coffee to pick you up because it's Monday. I know it's a long weekend for us Canadians, but for you Americans, it's still Monday.
Oh.
It's Thanksgiving up here, but
that's right.
You guys get your Death Wish coffee, man. Get your fix.
Deathwishcoffee.com.
I haven't confirmed it yet. But after the last loss, after that Game 5 loss, I heard LeBron bought some Death Wish coffee, drank it, gave it to the rest of the Lakers, and that's what helped push them over the edge. So just saying, not confirmed yet, but just saying, I heard the Lake Show drunk Death Wish, and that's what got them the W. So just saying, at least a success.
Guys, before we move on, I guess we should acknowledge Matthew, who's been saying the New Day will break up for the last year and a half. Matthew, I'm so glad you were finally right. My God, what a time! What a time to be alive! You did it. This is you. You put that out into the universe because you hate the New Day so much.
Do you hate the New Day?
No, he doesn't.
Because I don't hate the New Day, but the only thing that ever did bother me about the New Day was the same thing that happened this week, and I know we'll talk about it later, but them winning the tag titles like all the time.
Yeah. 9-time champions. But guys, we here at THS Wrestling had a very cool week.
Yeah,
because Neeson not here, but he's
represented on my shirt.
There we go. Perfect.
We're both big fans, but on this show he's the stand.
So if everyone in chat has not already gone to youtube.com/that hashtag show TV and checked out the full Kevin Nash interview, all the media outlets have checked it out, and they pulled some quotes from it. And here's one right here from Bleacher Report. We've got one from ProWrestling.com. We've got one from This Is Cage Side Seats. And we got one from Fightful. Look, and Neeson's even in the article right there.
He's on the front cover.
Look at
that. Very exciting. Very, very cool. I mean, things have been crazy for us in 2020. And that was very crazy to see all of these news outlets picking up Sasha Banks being picked to be in the original NWO, which
the best choice. He made the best choice.
He did.
I
make
remember
the best
when
choice.
I got to watch that interview. I remember I hit up Neeson and I hit up some other people at THS Wrestling. I'm like, yo, that's the best part. Like, that's the best part of this entire interview.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it is. I mean, the whole thing is.
The interview's
go check
great,
it out.
yeah.
It's about 30 minutes long. It's very cool, especially that part. He puts over Sasha so hard, and rightfully so, because she deserves that. And yes, thank you, Ken.
And low-key, shout out to Neeson because that's an interview holding it down.
Neeson did a great job.
Yep. And
Fantastic.
also, Kyle shows the power of Sasha Banks in a way, too. The fact that snippet is what, like, kind of trended over and shows you, like, her power, like, in the community and the fan space and everything. WWE should take note. Just saying.
Absolutely.
She was the first female drafted this week, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was actually one thing
I guess there was one female before her, but other than that, you know.
There was one thing I wanted to bring up, and I thought it was an interesting thing, and I believe it was on our Instagram. We posted a picture of all of the women from the Revolution.
The 4 horsewomen plus Alexa Bliss. And someone in the comment said, why do you think it is that Alexa Bliss doesn't get as much recognition for being part of the Revolution? And I thought that was a very interesting question. This is kind of off the top of my head just because we were talking about it. I have my reasoning for why I think she's not as held in high regard. What do you guys think? You want to go first, Johnny? Because my theory is just like, when I think of the 4 horsewomen, like, we know they're kind of like, I'm not comparing them to these people. For those of you that aren't big women's wrestling fans, don't be like, don't you dare compare them to these people. But this is what I'm gonna do. The 4 horsewomen are sort of like the clique, and Alexa's like Bret Hart. Never really part of the clique, but was still up there while the clique was doing their thing. But those 4 are friends, and I'm not saying they're not friendly with Alexa. I'm sure, from what I've seen on social media and whatnot, like Charlotte and Alexa are pretty tight. Becky, Alexa are pretty cool and whatnot. But like, those 4 feel like they were running their own little pack and doing their own little mini revolution at the time, anyways.
Yeah.
Where Alexa was kind of on the side, finding her own, and then honestly, when she got drafted to SmackDown, like, she really found her own and blew up.
Yes.
Yeah. That was going to be. I was going to say that if she wasn't the breakout. Like, think about this: if you look at like the NBA, for example, back during like the '90s, you have Michael out there running, you have Magic, you got Larry Bird, and then after that, you talk about like maybe Patrick being big or Charles Barkley. But then once you get past that, there are legit superstars there, like John Stockton, Isaiah Thomas, amazing Hall of Famers, top 50 players, but they didn't have the breakout careers at the moment that those 4 gentlemen did.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. Alexa's dope as hell, but at that time, though, when they came up to the ring after that Sasha Bailey match, she wasn't popping like that. But Charlotte and Becky were the reason why they part of the reason they came out and joined them in that ring. And so that's just the thing. She doesn't have that momentum. But like the classic said, when she went to SmackDown, look, he was found her place. And I agree with that because honestly, I remember her NXT career was okay. But when she got to the main rosters where this really took off, and that's where she like held her most titles at and found the most success.
And the expectations were different, right? Of those 4 and then her. They had different expectations.
And that's kind of where people don't have Alexa in as high a regard as those 4 is because those, and I love Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss is one of my favorite wrestlers. Alexa Bliss, only female wrestling shirt I think I own, besides maybe an Ember Moon indie shirt.
I only own Sasha shirts, but go on.
I got an EO on the way this week. So
I only have Sasha shirts. I have a bunch of jackets, though. A bunch of female chalkline jackets, but I don't ask for t-shirts. It's Sasha.
So I think it also might be because when you think of Sasha Bailey and Becky, they all had wrestling backgrounds already. Now Charlotte comes from a wrestling family.
Yeah.
Alexa, I think just was like, I want to try and do this.
Yeah.
And now she's in there. So I think that might be a reason why people, Drew Gulak's chalkline jacket goes on sale soon.
Oh shit! There you go.
Oh shit!
Let's do it.
And like I said, the interesting thing about Alexa, where I got to give her a lot of credit, is that there were times where she was behind them, like as far as career wise, but there's times she's overtaken them and she's been the main woman and held it down.
Yeah.
And then she's lift them. So I got to give her credit. Like her spot's like solidified, because I think that's the thing too, is that she doesn't necessarily be part of the clique. She's off doing her own thing, literally blazing her own legacy. And like, honestly, like at the end of her career, even right now, like I would argue with her like amount of title reigns, the fact she's doing this dope storyline with the Fiend, she keeps this up for like another 2 years. It's like, oh shit, yeah, she's going to Hall of Fame.
You know,
track right now.
When I like, for those who don't, like, I've been posting on that THS wrestling account. Everyone go follow it if you aren't already, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, you are. I usually say this on my show, but if you aren't following THS.wrestling, go follow it. If you're just on the hashtag show YouTube channel and you don't know there's a wrestling page, go follow it. And I post that on purpose because I personally think she is part of that revolution, you know, as much as those other 4 girls. And I love the 4 horsewomen, right? Like I'm a big Sasha, Becky, Charlotte, not so much Bailey, but I'm a big fan of 3 out of the 4 of them. And sometimes I do think that maybe they do get a lot more credit than they deserve. They are tremendous, and they are, but there are other women that were a part of that revolution, whether it's the women that were already on the main roster, the AJ Lees, the Pages, and the whatnot, or whether it was like the other girls on NXT, like Emma and Alexa Bliss and Carmella and whatnot. Like,
yeah.
It's I think the 4 horsewomen, sometimes everyone was like, oh, it's always the 4 horsewomen. Now it's like, you know, Sasha's fought all 3 of the other 4 horsewomen in Hell in the Cells after this year. It's always about the 4 horsewomen, but it's like, no, man, Alexa stood out a lot herself too.
Absolutely.
You know?
Not only that, my personal plug always goes to Asuka. Her NXT title run was amazing, and people were tuning in for like every NXT to see was she going to lose or not, and she held that in hard regard with high level matches. Then when she came to Raw, like she won the Women's Royal Rumble. She had great pay-per-view matches after that, leading to like her match with Charlotte Flair. We can talk about that later. But again, she had an amazing run, and so honestly, like there's a lot of women that have contributed to this women's revolution to get the women's wrestling to where it is right now.
Can I say something controversial, and we can move away from it right after?
Yeah.
This is always just like my thought process. And I could be wrong like this, and I don't mean any ill will to anyone. But did anyone else ever find it funny how, like, for me, the women's revolution was like, okay, the rise of AJ Lee being in like male dominated storylines made women's wrestling kind of a little bit more prevalent. Total Divas, whether people hate it or like it, that was a big part of women's wrestling becoming a little bit more relevant and prevalent. And then what was happening on NXT was a big deal. Like those women got to have long matches and whatnot. That was important. And the last thing I say that was really important was the impact of Ronda Rousey's star outside of wrestling. She like was a trailblazer for women in sports at a time, and mostly combat sports at a time when that wasn't a thing in WWE. So they're like, oh, you know, I always feel like, and I could be wrong about this, but when did Stephanie get more credit for the women's revolution than Triple H?
Low-key, I used to bring that up too, and I agree with you. And I think the reason why,
did you just pass it to her because AJ Lee called her out on Twitter? Like, when did that happen?
I think that was mostly, this is my opinion, I always think that was just for the cameras. Because when you like, because I remember watching Total Divas, and I remember she came out and was like, congratulations, from now on, you will no longer be called divas, you'll be called women's wrestlers. And I'm like Stephanie making this shit for her. This is probably trips.
Yeah.
And I think it's just honestly it's the look of it, because having a man come out and announce this too is like, congratulations, women, I've given you more rights.
The propaganda, propaganda.
If you have a black revolution, and it's Prince Albert coming like, all right, darkies, guess what? I got more rights. So now you're going to be called this from now on. It's like, oh, thank you, boss, thank you. So I think low-key that's the reason why. It's just like the look of it and everything. Is that by having Steph do it, it just gives a certain look to it. But I think real fans know, people that know, like us and other people know, like a lot of this is due to like Trips and some of the people behind the scenes who've been working with them. Like shout out to Finley, because Finley, like
William Regal, Finley, or the whole
he went hard. Was like, no, we ain't gonna do diva moves. We just go do moves. And then John, I forget the woman's name. What was the
Sarah Del Rey?
Thank you so much. Like her coming in, training it, really changed the division, and that was a tipping point as well. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and we all know it's not Stephanie. There's many people behind the scenes.
I feel like she's done a lot now, but when it first happened, I was like, I don't know. There's something shady about this, because you've had the creative book for a while, and these women have been getting 30-second matches, so I don't know.
One thing I would like to see the women's revolution do next, and we'll go to wrap up the conversation, is I'm looking for them to start spreading out from wrestling to other vantage points. So they started doing female referees, which is dope. But I kind of want to see more women on commentary. Like that.
I thought Renee was great. Beth was great on NXT. Like they're trying, you know.
I mean, for me, my favorite women's commentator is Veda Scott. She's the best. It would be great for her to. I mean, she's been on AEW a couple of times. I really enjoy her. She's carried Shimmer shows by herself. She's amazing. I would love to see
her. Would you
her.
like Veda to be on commentary for every women's match that happens in AEW? Like that should just be a thing, right?
It should, but I would also just like her on commentary in general.
Throughout the whole thing, yeah.
Either way, it's fine.
I've been a big fan of the whole. I've been saying this since AEW started. I'm like, I would if it's a 2-hour show. I love the old Nitro style of like the first hour is these 3 guys and the second hour is these 4 guys. I've always been a fan of that because it changes it up, you know.
They should do that. Yeah. They should do that. All right, let's move on to Oh, no, good.
I was saying somebody in the chat. Yes, Bike Lock is my Retribution name. Bike Lock is here. What's the combination?
Oh. I just assume whenever it is the actual THS account, it's when Neeson isn't here. I assume it's Junior, but it might be Neeson. We'll see. Either one. Shout out to both of those guys. So let's move on to AEW. Let's talk about this dog collar match between Mr. Brodie Lee and Cody for the AEW TNT Championship. I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I thought they did a lot of creative things. On my podcast, Tornado Tag Radio, I said that was a cool move with a chain. And that's basically what this match was. I think one thing that I'm just overall as a comment for AEW, picture in picture during matches like this is not the business. Especially when you're like, hey, look what happened to picture in picture, and it's a literal package pile driver off the apron through a table, and it's like, why was that not live? Like, you knew that spot was going to happen. It was insane. But I think I want to ask you guys, what do you think of the match, and then what do you think of Cody regaining the championship 5 weeks later?
You go ahead, Classic. Go first.
You want me to go first? Okay, so for the match itself, I enjoyed it. I thought for a chain match, it was a good match. I agree with the picture-in-picture thing. I think, there was other matches on this card that could have had that picture-picture break, and this one didn't need it. Or if you were going to do picture-in-picture, just don't have them do big spots in the picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
I also thought Greg the Hammer Valentine looked very bored, and they flew him out there for no reason. I also thought...
Hey, remember when we shared an elevator with Greg the Hammer Valentine? Johnny, were you there for that?
I wasn't there for that one.
That was me. Yeah, that was me and Neeson and Junior. Never
at LAX Fest. That's where I last saw him. He was very, he's a nice guy, but he looked bored. And also, I thought the match was good. I didn't like the fact that Cody won it back, because all it makes me feel now is that they put the title on Brodie because Cody had to go record a show. And when it comes to Brodie Lee, like, this was the biggest thing he did. And after losing to, Ambrose, losing to Moxley, I didn't know how he was going to recover himself. But then he won this title against Cody. I'm like, oh, yay, the Dark Order finally won something. But now I'm to the point where I'm like, oh, that's it? Like, did Cody really need to win it back here? Like, was it necessary? His promo after was good, but, was it kind of the same promo that he regularly does? I don't know. I feel like I already feel a little bit more different than because I recorded the TWC show earlier this week in Neeson and we talked about it. But even from then, I feel different. I after thinking about it even more, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I like Cody. I genuinely like Cody Rhodes, but does he need it now? Like,
no,
I don't think so. Johnny or Bike Lock, excuse me. What do you think?
Thank you. The bike lock things. Honestly, like, I like the gimmick of the match. Like, it's cool introducing like these new gimmicks and everything like that for like a brand new company. And honestly, I saw like some of the marketing posters leading up to this match, which looked like badass. It was like Cody sitting on a throne and like the chain running away from him. It's a lot of cool shit. But the thing about it is, though, is that like when it comes down to it, like, I don't think they should have won it. Like, the thing about it is, though, we need to get over Dark Order as a faction by themselves. Like, Cody himself is over. He had a great run with the title. And so the thing about it is, though, the thing that gets you over next is chasing the title. I hate to keep referencing like Attitude Era booking, but one of the things that got the Rock over the most is when he was chasing after DX and chasing after Triple H, trying to get the belt away from them. But every time he would try to win, it's like 1, 2, oh no, Xbox did something. Okay, 1, 2, oh, here's the Road Dogg. And so that's the thing. When you have a faction of that size, like with the Dark Order, it's like, the fuck, there's like 15 motherfuckers who can interfere in this match. And so my whole thing is like, someone should have interfered, make sure you got the win. And yeah, you get the win dirty, but guess what? You're a Dark Order, you're the faction, you're supposed to get the win dirty like this because you're the heels. And this gives Cody like something to chase, which makes the fans get behind him even more and pushes him. He doesn't need a title right now. it's great you put this title match on TV. I would have rather say for a pay-per-view, but I get it. You want to get ratings. But did you need to like give him the belt back so soon? Nah. Again, the Chases was what was going to get you over, and the Chases was going to get the Dark Order over as well. But that's my opinion. What do you think, John?
So, I have confirmed that it is Neeson. Hello, Neeson. How interesting would it be if Cody was a transitional champion for Orange Cassidy? He fights
like a waste.
He fights we already did Orange Cassidy versus Brodie, so we couldn't do it again. It just feels, I don't know. Like all your points are valid. I think this kind of, once again, it's a stop-start with the Dark Order, where he beat the shit out of Cody in 3 minutes, and then they beat the shit out of everybody else, and it was like, Dark Order, yes, let's go. And then what happened? Nothing happened after that. And now he's lost the title, and now it's like, well, what do we do now with the Dark Order? I think they really need to reevaluate that faction. I think I wouldn't mind seeing Brodie go, this isn't working. You two are out, and you're out. And then that way you could have a feud with
within the Dark Order.
You could have you could have oh my goodness, Dark Order proper, which would be Evil Uno and Stu Grayson versus John Silver and Reynolds, because those are two great tag teams that I think could have some great series of matches on the undercard. You know, them being mad they got kicked out, Brodie just being like, just get rid of these guys, just destroy them, get them out of the company. I think if they kicked out some members, maybe that would build up the rest of because it feels like, I was talking to my friend Dan, it feels like Stu and Evil Uno are side characters in their own gimmick. Like they started the whole thing, and now they're kind of like,
they're not as, they don't feel as entertaining or as important as like Silver and Reynolds. Like, Silver was the one out there taking bumps from Cody.
He drew the short straw for sure that night. Yeah. And I hope at the end of that short straw was some extra money for getting color for no reason.
Do you think this biker's chain match, it was poor choice to book this chain match on the same night where it's supposed to be Jericho's 30th anniversary? Because I feel like the chain match overshadowed anything Jericho did on this show.
I agree, and this was the 30th anniversary for Jericho. We did have a lot of cameos that Tony Khan paid for. No, I'm just kidding. We had a lot of people well-wishing him. Very interesting. We had New Japan Pro Wrestling star Hiroshi Tanahashi. I wonder, but I do think it did overshadow Jericho's 30th anniversary. I did listen to your guys' podcast. That main event was nothing to write home about. I get why it happened. It makes sense. But it was overshadowed by the dog collar match. And I think if it was more of a celebration of Jericho, it would have felt a little better. Yes, we did have all the videos throughout, which was nice, but high cameo budget for sure. High cameo budget. When you own an NFL team, I guess you have the high cameo budget. But Bike Lock, what did you think? Do you think the dog collar match overtook what should have been a very special night for Jericho?
I'm be real, I'm a little bit split because I agree with the points you guys are making, but it's just like going by the internet reaction, or like when I'm checking wrestler Twitter afterwards, I saw a lot of people talking about Jericho's 30 anniversary. So that's the only reason why I'm a little bit split, just because like the internet people that I follow, whatever, a lot of them were talking about that over the match and everything like that. And like I low-key found it hilarious. Like I love the fact that when he went off the air, they did the SNL style closing. But everybody said goodbye, everybody. I'm just like, this flesh is fucking genius. And then
so
it's like,
good.
Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho. I was like, well done. Shout out to Classic for putting that on the IG page too. So honestly, like that's the reason why. So I'm just going by internet reaction. I felt a lot of people were talking about the Jericho because like all the silliness of it and whatnot. But I could see like actually watching it, how like the dog collar match could be like overpowering for it. But just going by internet reaction, I kind of feel like it did all right. It still was remembered. It still got over to me.
It just feels like AEW is overloading their shows these days a little more with the wrestling matches than they really need to.
Well, every title's on the line next week. Big Papa Pump showing up right now.
I like the tag title thing though. I do like the tag title thing. Wait, Big Papa Pump showing up?
No, I heard the siren.
I was like, wait, no, Big Papa Pump's going to AEW. No, but I do love the 20 minutes brush with greatness thing. Like, that's cool. You know, it's kind of a replacement for the TNT Open Challenge, which I wonder if Cody's going to bring that back or if he's just going to fight Orange Cassidy. I don't know. But I don't know. I feel like just like there's too many high profile matches every week, which is not a bad thing for people that really love wrestling, which I'm not saying I don't, but I'm like a character storyline promo guy. Like, sell me on some shit.
Yeah. I wish Kenny Omega was involved in more of this because I'm looking for him to be like.
Oh, they got that tournament. That's true.
Just wait.
Yeah.
Just wait. I mean, talk about story building. Alex Marvez interviewing Kenny Omega and him being like, yeah, they even let tag team wrestlers, like he said Hangman Adam Page's name 18th. Hangman's living rent free inside that man's head, which is great.
I love their subtle storytelling. The fact that Omega keeps saying he's ready to be a single star, but yet has had a singles match while they have Hangman having single matches every other week, where it's like the irony in that, you know?
Yeah. So I'm interested to see where that goes in the tournament. Ken mentions a lot of New Japan references on AEW this week. Very interesting. They did just have a changing of the guard with their president, which Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks did not care for him. So we'll see.
I mean,
I would also like to put out into the world, Jon Moxley continues to use Minoru Suzuki's moves, and one day that man's going to show up on Dynamite and murder him on live television, and it's going to be great.
I know we have to talk about the draft, but I was going to talk some crap about Moxley, but we won't. It's okay.
All right, let's move on. Not the draft just yet.
Okay.
Bike Lock, you guys have a leader now. That's so cool.
We do.
Number one on the power rankings this week.
There he is.
That was the best moment of the week in my
mind. Mustafa Ali is the leader of Retribution. I want to know what everybody thinks in the chat. This is a great picture, by the way. I absolutely love this. I think for storyline, I like it too, because Mustafa Ali has been that guy for a very long time, since he's been in freelance in Chicago. He's just an overall great dude. It's great to see him leading a stable. And he's going to cut an amazing promo tomorrow. Spoiler. It's going to be great. And I sincerely hope that now that we have a face for Retribution, that he goes, cut it out, guys. Get rid of these masks. I know who you are.
I said that on the TWC show. I'm like, they have the opportunity now to be like, take off your mask, T-Bar. This is Donovan Dijakovic. Take off your mask. Stop. This is Shane Thorne. And then explain their backstories a little bit. Because now they don't need the mask. Let's drop the names and drop the mask. Let them be people in Retribution. Bike Lock's going to have to unmask up there. But I will say this, and just for logic sense, because I'm a sucker for logic and then details, and I know WWE isn't, I would like them to intertwine the Hacker storyline and this together. Like it's just one big thing that was building up, you know?
Yes. That would be good. I mean, it would make sense. No, you don't like that?
The truth was going to be told sooner or later. That's the last thing we heard.
No, I don't like it. Want to know why I don't like it?
Why?
Because I put together a top 10 list of people, stars who should have been in Retribution. Drops tomorrow on the YouTube page. And a little spoiler alert, Ali was on that list exactly because of the Hacker angle. That shit should have been in there. I don't like them stealing my goddamn ideas.
Drop the video too late. And I can confirm because Bike Lock did call me and ask me my opinion of the list, and Ali was on that way before.
I mean, if anyone would know, it'd be Bike Lock. He's part of the crew, man.
It's true, actually. Now that
that's not even fair. So, like, if they say that tomorrow, he knew for a reason.
It's true.
Only I know the combination. Yeah. But it's the classic thing. I love the fact that we got Ali as our leader now, because again, we can dish the mask, we can like move forward, like bring back people's history, and actually start doing some damage on the brand and everything like that. I'm interested to see how like storyline is going to play out now. because like we have the draft doing tomorrow. So I'm interested to see where Retribution will end up going. Will we stay on Raw? Will we go to SmackDown? Because that's going to depend on like who we feud with. Because right now, I think what you call it, Hurt Business stayed on Raw.
Yes.
The thing about that why I love the Hurt Business, even though we got beef. The thing about it is though is that it's weird having two heel factions feud together. So it'd be interesting to see if they put them on SmackDown, and that way there's so few faces to get feuded with there and have some like wars going back and forth. So I'm interested to see where they're going to move us to next.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot wrong with the draft, and I think one of the weird things is like saying Retribution is only on Raw 3 weeks before we have the draft. It just seems very strange.
They could have got away with it.
They could have. There's just a lot of, and we'll get to the draft right now.
Oh, good job. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you.
And to Jim's point, Jimmy, to your point, they blocked me from interviewing him too, so I understand.
That's so strange.
Not recently though, but like there was a time, and he's like, I'm down to do it. Hit him up, and I said sure. Then I hit him up. They're like, oh, sorry, we can't accommodate you. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's so weird. All right, guys. So we had the draft the first night, and then like the next morning, because WWE they barely give a shit. I will say this year's draft, I blinked and it was over. Last year's, I thought they did a great job where they had, even though, it was kind of corny. We had the two rooms, we had Fox and we had USA, but it added to it because we had like the war room.
You felt like somebody was making picks.
Yeah. The best part about it was though, is that in the Fox room, they had the giant robot, which was hilarious.
Yes, dude.
They're like, we need some big.
They're the future.
There it is.
And here are the results through it was SmackDown and then Talking Smack in the morning. Here's what we got on Raw here. Wow, that picture is very small. I apologize.
I'm hyped for the SmackDown one because Sasha's on it and she looks great. But on the Raw side here, we got. Can I say I don't like the fact that people that are already on the show are getting drafted to the show, and I forget who I talked about it with, but I don't think champions should be allowed to be drafted.
Yes, that makes absolutely no sense. They should be not. But anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation. Entertainment. Because
it felt like a waste that the champions are drafted for. It's like no shit. You're gonna draft your champions first, but like you shouldn't be able to draft them anyways. Like I don't know.
So, up and down the list here, we had the Hurt Business drafted as, 4 people. And also, obviously, the Raw list is going to be longer because it's a 3-hour show. They need more wrestlers. It makes sense.
How many times has The Miz switched brands since 2016?
Oh, a bunch.
Probably as many times as
Big Show's turned heel?
Big Show has turned heel. Big Show has turned heel.
About the Miz, I got to give him credit. They always put him where they need ratings at, which is cool. He's kind of like the Rock refers to himself as like franchise Viagra. The Miz is low key kind of like brand Viagra. Like he goes over and he'll boost your mid card up. He'll make the mid card like interesting while he's there. So I got to give him credit.
So looking at this, Hurt Business stays, Drew stays, Asuka stays, AJ switches back to Monday Night Raw.
Heyman went back to SmackDown.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Who we have Kofi and Xavier, which we'll get to, and I think Tucker. So that spells the end for Heavy Machinery, and we had Gulak going to Raw as well.
So they were yeah, they didn't seem like that for the last year. I know. The fact that they tend to not like to split couples up. But Jey Uso, I know Jimmy's Naomi's husband, but Jay's on SmackDown, drafted to SmackDown, and Naomi got drafted to Raw. Do they split the Usos up too?
I think. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was thinking about that as this was going down because I know they split up. Because they split up.
Bianca's over there. Yeah,
but I think the reason why they have that rule is when you're touring. But right now, like I was telling somebody like the other day, I was like, but they're filming.
They don't care.
They don't care. No,
exactly, because it's not like they're going to their hotel; they're leaving, literally going home.
Well, so I also assume the Street Profits are going to get drafted to SmackDown if the New Day with the SmackDown tag titles went to Raw. I just thought they're going to swap belts and go to the other show. So the red belt's got to stay on the red show, and the blue belt's got to stay on the blue show.
I don't understand.
Or they're going to lose it tomorrow.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I really don't get that. I mean, I will say this was shocking to Matthew. the Tucker and Otis split was shocking.
I mean, Tucker's been so relevant this past year.
So, I mean, let's talk about, I guess, they split up as a team, which, I mean, good luck, Tucker, man. But
Does Tucker go after Mandy now? Is this what we're doing?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel bad. I feel legit bad, but I'm low-key counting down the days to like Tucker's like cut, because I'm like, I don't know what they're gonna do by yourself, homie. Like I feel like they're gonna cut him after like over like half a year, like 6 months. He might be cut, sadly.
This is one of those situations where I wish they won the tag belts at least once, though.
Yeah.
You know, as a team, because they were a good team.
They were.
So, speaking of teams, Xavier Woods returns on Friday. We have Kofi and Xavier winning the tag team titles, and then immediately after, Stephanie McMahon comes out and goes, "You guys have been drafted to Raw, but only you two, Big E, are staying here." And then, this is the face we get.
I got scared when the New Day returned, though. I thought this was the end of Big E's push.
I mean, this is a good and bad thing, I guess. First of all, nobody turned on anyone.
There was a push. Did I miss it? There was a push.
I mean, he's beating former world champion Sheamus in Fall Count Anywhere matches.
Oh, Sheamus. Oh, Sheamus.
Sheamus.
I had an Otis idea, though. I was thinking, like, what if Otis, because Mandy's on Raw, now Tucker's on Raw, comes in to cash his Money in the Bank on the tag titles with Tucker to stay on Raw?
Because he has said that that's the title. Like, I think in an interview, he did say that.
And then him and Tucker finally win the tag titles, and he gets to be with Mandy. It's a happy ending this Monday.
Oh, there you go. That's smart. That's good booking, man.
And then Miz and Morrison are there, and they're going to be mad about their lawsuit.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
because they seem to draft entire feuds to other shows. Like, look what happened with Seth and Mysterio, guys.
Honestly, that's the thing that annoyed me. Like when I heard Seth was drafted to SmackDown, I was like, "Thank God this feud's over. Thank God." They drafted Mysterios too. Oh my God! And they even commented on it. Was like, "We're not done with Seth yet." I'm like, "Why aren't you done? Why do you want to keep going after him?"
And then low key on Talking Smack, Murphy got drafted there too, and it's like, "Oh, we're just keeping everybody together."
It's like, what's the point of the draft?
So I mean, kind of a bummer that New Day's broken up. They had 6 years together. And I believe Xavier said, well, now we're on both shows. New Day's on both shows. Which is fine. I think it's nice that Big E is going to get a singles run. And I know we didn't see a lot. It was usually Kofi and Big E as a tag team for the most part. I'm excited that Xavier gets a little more, he's not the dude with the trombone outside. He's going to get a little more ring time, and it's good to see him back in the ring as well.
Do you guys find it weird the way they did that though? Like, shouldn't they have had like, hey, Big E's drafted to SmackDown, then them going like, what the hell, Big E's drafted to SmackDown by himself, and then the New Day get drafted to Raw? Like, just the opposite? Because wouldn't anyone in their right mind be like, we want to draft all three?
Yeah.
Okay. Hurt Business there are 4 people in Hurt Business, and they all got drafted together.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh, the New Day is available.
Let's just take the 2.
I only want 2 of them.
Exactly.
It's like, the other way around. It should have been like, oh, SmackDown drafted Big E, which screwed over Raw, and they're like, well, we'll take the other team.
Exactly. That would have made more sense. Because the cool thing about the draft is with one draft pick, you can just draft the entire stable. So by drafting the Horde Business, like you said, you get 4 people. You draft the New Day, you get 3. Why you draft one half of something's like, the fuck, doesn't make any sense.
And I guess actually also technically, if WWE hates Retribution so much, wouldn't they just be like, we're splitting you up?
Exactly.
We're splitting you up.
All get drafted to SmackDown and the Retribution stays on Raw. They just break them up.
Shouldn't have signed those contracts.
Bike stays on Raw.
Do we see any NXT stars get called up during this draft? Because it hasn't happened yet.
No. So, and I know Ian was like, why is NXT not involved in this? The hell if we know, man. I don't know. It makes absolutely no sense.
I think Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go Classic now. Go.
No, I was just saying, I think I understand like NXT not being able to draft people to NXT because I think no matter what, they're always going to look at that as that third development brand. But taking wrestlers from NXT, I think, should be allowed.
Oh, yeah. I think there should be some people that are drafted for sure, and who knows, maybe it'll happen. Maybe they'll at the last minute think of they're like, oh yeah, we should just have this person on now. I want to talk about the SmackDown roster because I'm pretty excited about it, mainly because this means that we can get a Sasha Banks Bianca Belair feud, and I am 100% in on that for sure. And Seth Rollins for the first time.
And Sasha gets to hold that blue belt with the blue hair, and I really want that to happen, even though it's such a minor detail.
No, but it's big though. It's big. I feel you. I'm mostly interested to see like how this SmackDown's going to turn out with Seth and Roman being on the same brand because they're both two big heels. I'm looking like, how's it going to work? Plus, Seth has the whole Monday Night Messiah, so it's going to be the Friday Night Fry Cook. Like, I don't know what the new name is going to be yet. I don't know religious terms like that, so I'll be interested to see. Well, but before we go, the New Day breakup, you know what? I gotta be real. Like, I'm sad that it happened, but I'm low-key a little bit okay with it, just for the couple things. Like, one, they didn't do Big E's push the way they should have been because like Kobe's push was a lot faster. It's like boom, leading to this belt, boom, you're chasing something, boom. With Big E is like you're just doing shit every week. Here, you're gonna feud with the Miz and these guys. Here, you're gonna fight Sheamus and blah blah blah. The other reason why I think it works is because when those guys are on the road, they travel together and they collectively stay together. But again, going back to that whole couples thing. There's no travel right now. You're all staying in the same location. That's why I feel like they're cool with it because they're like, look, we're still boys. We're still going to hang out. This is the perfect time to experiment and you go off on your own to fully get your whole push going. But if we ever start touring again or anything starts coming back up, we're just going to bring you guys back together. So that's why I kind of feel like it's going to be right now. It's the best time for them to do it while they're all like stationary in the same place. And then they can like fix it real fast if it goes south.
I genuinely like the fact that they didn't break them up or have anyone turn. So there's always a future for them to get back together.
So, okay, we're just going to address this now because Matthew's doubling down. I mean, I guess go for broke when you can. So New Day does have a farewell match on Friday Night SmackDown. Do you, in any situation, see Big E turning on his New Day brethren?
No.
Nah.
The clique didn't break up. They just expanded to take over.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think another reason why you don't do this is because, as we just talked about, and we'll bring it up again, you have Seth Rollins, who's a heel, Roman Reigns, who's a heel. Those are your two big heels. I wouldn't, take Big E and then make him a heel. If Sheamus stays there, he's a heel. You have too many heels. You need faces.
And you can still split Cesaro and Nakamura if they stay on SmackDown to be top heels. Like, there's a lot of people.
And low key, who can help spice up that whole one of those feuds on there, that whole Seth Rollins versus the Mysterio family feud. Insert Big E into that bad boy.
Big E with Seth would be great too.
Exactly.
Oh my God, dude.
You go back with promos because Seth is doing this whole religious figure, but the whole way Biggie does his promos, it's like a preacher seeing them go back and forth, like you may be the Messiah, but I'm the chosen one. Blessed. Oh, that shit could be hot fire. That shit could be hot fire.
That could be very
fire ass promos for sure, man. I'm with it.
So that could be
huge. I don't know. Like, I love Sasha Banks. I'm a big Sasha Banks fan. If I was doing a draft, she'd be the first female pick for my roster too, and it was in mine and Neeson's mock draft, so I could steal her from him.
Let me tell you about that.
When I saw that first pick you took Sasha. I was like, that's fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
If I was doing that draft, I would have said, Justin, I would like to do a trade with you right now. I will trade you my number 1 pick and my 2nd round pick.
Oh, he tried trading with me throughout the whole show and after the show and everything. It was not happening.
No, I would have traded before.
Because we flipped a coin. I downloaded a coin app. So I'm like, I'm going to flip this coin. You pick heads or tails. He picked one and I flipped it and I got the first pick. So I was like, oh, luck is on my side. Sasha Banks. But to the point, why wouldn't SmackDown draft their own champion? I know you want to leave big picks for Raw, but
it's so wild.
Wait, have they not drafted Bayley yet?
No one drafted Bayley. And I love Sasha, but if the big deal is like draft Drew first, draft Roman first, draft Asuka first, wouldn't you draft your women's champion first?
Yeah.
What Sammy?
It's so strange. It's so strange.
It is weird.
Now, we talked a little bit about NXT, and NXT they could benefit from people being drafted to NXT because we know, unfortunately, on Wednesday, Ridge went down with a horrific injury, and he was going to be in a feud with Adam Cole. They were shooting him to the moon.
That's how they ended NXT TakeOver. Like, that was a big thing.
That was going to be it. And now I think they were saying someone hired him to take him out. So, I mean, they kind of built in a safe mechanism there to where they can just plug somebody else in real quick. But that's a huge bummer for them. And also, Finn broke his jaw in 2 places in that killer match with Kyle O'Reilly.
Strong style.
So strong style. I heard that Kyle O'Reilly had a couple of his teeth knocked out too, or broken. I don't even know if they were knocked out. But what do you guys think of them keeping the belt on Finn despite him having a broken jaw in 2 places? And I know, keep in mind that we just took the belt off somebody else because they got injured. Do you think it's the right move to just be like, he's the champion still? Bike lock?
How long does a jaw take to get healed? Go ahead.
I'll look that up.
I looked it up before. It takes about 4 weeks, depending on the injury, sometimes 2 months. And so the reason why I looked that up, because as soon as I heard that happen, I'm like, wait, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Totally fucking fine for NXT. Because the thing about it is, though, like, half the time the champions aren't on every show. Like, I get an EO match here, then she might cut a promo on the back, and then she might have a match later on, or there might be a tournament where she just walks out to say, like, watch a match or whatever. So NXT is the perfect place for that because they take their time. They don't put the champions in the ring every single week. Even when he didn't have the belt, he didn't wrestle every single week. And so 4 to 6 weeks with him, like, taking time to heal, just showing up, maybe doing a kick or like doing something very light or whatever, I'm like, this is perfect. And then after this, he can go ahead and do his match because he is having a great run. And honestly, that first title defense was fucking magnificent. And like it should have been. And like the thing about this, I'm looking forward to the rest of this run where he's going to help get other guys over. Because the dope thing about that match is even though Kyle O'Reilly lost, he comes out looking like such a freaking boss that if we see him go after the North American Championship, it's like, oh, he might win that shit. And now, again, it gives them the Undisputed Era that much legitimacy. The fact they have 3 people in there who could hold titles now with him, Fish, and now Kyle O'Reilly. So it makes it great. So honestly, like, I'm all for it. Classic.
No, I'm all for it too, man. I hope that I know they teased us with some Kyle O'Reilly Ciampa stuff, so maybe they'll mix Ciampa in the mix over Ridge now because that could be the perfect guy to hire someone to go take out Adam Cole to piss off Kyle O'Reilly, maybe. I don't know. But I know, like I said, it just depends on the severity of the injury. Like, I think a jaw shouldn't take that long to heal compared to, you know, a separated shoulder or something.
Yeah, it's like, 1 to 2 months. Yeah,
so if that's the case, then let him keep the belt. And I mean, you can't be stripping the champion after every time someone wins it. And like, and Keith Lee's title reign lasted like a week. It felt like so. Like,
it was quick. It was so quick.
Yeah.
So now, do you elevate your secondary title to make that your main title for the next month and a half?
I feel like you could, but I'm not I like Damian Priest. He's growing on me, but I'm not the biggest Priest fan yet.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I think you have enough time here because one, you need to decide who's going to be his next competitor, who's going to be the next number 1 contender. So you have shows to do, like, you can do a tournament for that. You can do like a Royal Rumble. You can do some storylines with that. That's going to buy you a lot of time. And then 2, you got that whole Adam Cole feud. It was like, who hired him? And to be honest with you, like, I've been thinking about this. The person who I would love to see go down there, who's been asking to go down there for a while, who came down there and at War Games and set it off.
Owens.
Exactly. Kevin Owens comes down there. It's like, you hired him. Why? Because you fucking touched me. You touched me. You thought you'd get away with it, and I'm not done with you yet. It was like, oh shit, get him, Kev. And so I would love to see him go down there because he go down there, become a heel. Undisputed Era totally turns face, and they have a whole war going back and forth. Would be so much fun, and we really have some really great matches.
And to your point, Pingo, like, I'm not a big Ember Moon fan whatsoever. I never understood her character ever, but I will say, like, their women's division is stacked right now.
Dude, their women's division is insane right now.
So if you're going to elevate any title, like, you just elevate the women's title for a month or so. And, you know, there's like, they got Toni Storm back, Ember's back, Rhea's there, Io's there, Dakota and Raquel. I don't know what Candice and Gargano are ever doing these days in the house, but there's all these women. Tegan's going to come back eventually. Like,
they're rip roaring and ready to go in the women's division for sure.
Shotzi's doing stuff, you know, Xia doing stuff.
Oh yeah, Zaya with the
Casey and Caden were picking up wins. Like their women division stacked.
Yeah. Be real with you. Like, here's the thing, real talk. They're not using the women's tag team champions on Raw. Fuck it. Let them send them down to NXT for a month. Let them go down there and feud with somebody. See, let some girls try to let them try to alcohol from them, but then they go back to Raw or SmackDown, whatever. But that could be some dope matches. Actually, I'll retract that statement because I forgot the Riot Squad had a dope ass match on Monday night. So I'm gonna give the Riot Squad the respect and say they did do something because I have full respect to them.
How disappointing was that the Riot Squad didn't win?
Yeah.
Was anyone else disappointed? Because I don't want to see. I liked the whole odd couple Nia Shayna, but I didn't expect them to be a long time tag champions. I thought this was a transitional situation, and then and then Asuka can face off against Nia and Shayna like overcome the odds. Yeah.
I mean, another title you could elevate is the cruiserweight title.
Mm-hmm.
I think Santos Escobar and his crew they're great gimmick. I think he's a amazing promo, which I guess kind of shocked by, but I don't know why. So I think it'd be cool to elevate that a little more. And yes, we forgot about Indy Hart. Oh, dude, buying the Garganos a TV. What a class act. A class act.
Can we get the Garganos out of their apartment though?
They're sheltering in place.
That's a condo. They have it upstairs.
Oh, my bad. The house, their condo, whatever it is. I think for this whole heel run, I think it's been decent for Candice. It just has not been working for Johnny.
It has not. That's what I was talking about last week. Is that for Johnny? While he's having some great matches, because he's fucking Johnny Gargano. He's a this man to get a 5-star match. Like, oh shit, he made Willie look good. But the thing about it is that when it comes down to it, like for him, he's kind of like gone right now. And he's actually he's not building up his career right now. His career isn't going forward from this. And so he'd actually be better off as a face, because as a face, at least we'd have a face on NXT that could be feuding for some stuff. And that would be fun.
It's no secret I've watched Johnny Gargano since his indies in Ohio. I'm a huge Gargano fan. I've seen him do both heel and face very well. I don't know if this is working for me.
It's not really the house, by the way.
It's not their house.
Okay.
Good to know. But I don't know if this is really working for me. It is very interesting seeing Candice play a heel, though. I will tell you that, because I'll tell a story. I was backstage.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was backstage at an independent show that my friend ran up in the Bay Area, and he booked Candice and Joey Ryan, and this was a long time ago. And they rode up from LA together, and Joey was playing a heel, and Jimmy, I know you're Gargano bias. We should all be. Anyway. So he wanted Candice to turn and help Joey Ryan, my friend, because he was running the show, and she was like so iffy about it, and she did it. And she came back, and she looked so sad because all these kids were like, boo, like booing her. And she was so like, she's just like, man, this sucks. Like, she did not like it at all. So it's very interesting to see her in, more than a one night thing of being a heel. I think it's working for her.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah, her moveset's gotten better too, though. Like the whole she puts the legs back and
herb stomp, baby.
Her mannerisms, her little fairy feathers, the wings, whatever, like the whole thing. I'm with it, man.
The pixie wings.
The pixie wings, my bad. I'm just not Johnny. Johnny's a great wrestler. I can never say Johnny's not a great wrestler. Just something's not clicking. Maybe none of the feuds he's been in has really mattered. I don't know. At least like the stuff Candice doing with Tegan and stuff, like seems like it's something. Like I feel like Johnny's done nothing that you can really sink your teeth into since wrestling Ciampa earlier this year.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Sure.
Before we move off this topic, because I know people's about to move us on, I just want to say too, though, like real talk, I do understand why they sent Ember Moon back to NXT after I saw her cut that promo on Wednesday, because I was looking like it was cool, but I'm like, just me personally, like you guys give me your opinions. I was like, it didn't feel that smooth to me. It felt like a little bit stiff, and that she needs to work on her mic skills a bit more. What'd you guys think?
I've never been a fan.
I am very much like Jimmy's Gargano bias. I have been a huge Athena / Ember Moon fan for a very long time. I hope she hasn't come back too early.
I mean, she was gone for a long time.
She was gone for a while. I'm interested. What's that?
There were a couple slip-ups in that match. Nothing too major, but there were a couple things that just kind of couple slip-ups.
I mean, her finish looked great. My God, I missed that finish.
I mean, this might be the run that gets me behind Ember because I'll be honest with you, if I'm going to be blunt, like the time she was in NXT and she was feuding like Asuka and stuff, that was the period when I really wasn't watching NXT that much, if I'll be honest. Like, at least wasn't really focusing on the women's division, if anything. And then her main roster run never really got started. So never really gave me an opportunity to really get behind her.
Yeah, I mean, and that's 100% fair. I also think her character is a little confusing. Like,
I didn't know what it was.
A wolf?
Is she wolf? Yeah.
Yeah, like it looks cool, but it's like, what are you? What's your attitude? Like,
on NXT, they let her be the character, which from what I did see on NXT, when I did see on the takeovers and the episodes I did watch, but when she came to the main roster, they kind of like even dwindled down her character.
Yeah,
right.
Which we see them do with a lot of people, like Aleister Black, someone more recently, but like.
We've only seen 20% of the new Aleister Black character. Okay,
he's a pirate. I don't know.
It's still loading. Give it time.
You guys like the new theme? Because I'm not a fan of the new theme.
It's awful.
I love the no man is truly good. No man is truly evil.
Seth Rollins was like, I used to have the best song, and now they gave it to somebody else. I'm very mad. Like, that song is amazing, but this new song is fucking awful.
So I heard some people actually I thought I was going to go on Twitter and everyone's like, this song sucks. Whenever I saw people like, oh, this song's great. Then I'm like, you guys kidding me?
I don't know what that's about. That doesn't make sense to me. Bike Lock. Do we want to talk a little bit about the Twitch situation and what's going on with that? So, that's all you, my friend.
So the Twitch situation has been kind of interesting. So as you guys know, about a month ago, Vince McMahon came down after AJ Styles running his mouth on Twitch or whatever and saying there's too much backstage stuff. He decided that he didn't want some of the WWE superstars out there using their wrestling names on these second party platforms. So it just came out saying you know what? You can keep using it, but do not use your WWE names anymore. And people were like, all right, fine, that's weird, but it's okay. And so there's a little bit of pushback. Most people were on board for it. Recently, there's been some updates. And so some of the updates have come out is that now Vince is saying that you can go ahead and use these second-party platforms, but now WWE is also going to get a percentage of it. And WWE is also trying to put some stipulations in their contracts now where they're going to own not just their wrestling names, but also their real names as well. So if you go outside, you're making money on your real name of Xavier was the real name? Austin Creed. Austin Creed, yeah. They're trying to make money on Austin Creed. He's got to give a cut to WWE, and that pissed some people off because they're looking look, one of the Twitch thing was our secondary income right now, but we're not touring. We're not doing meet and greets. We're not doing all these extra things. So that was getting us a lot of money. People like Paige and AJ Styles who built up this great following. And then two, they're look, you can't own our real names too, because that means when we go off and do other things in the future, for example, movies and acting, all this kind of stuff like that, you can still claim to get some of that money as well. And so Paige kind of posted on her Twitter page that she was like, I learned a lot about unions today, ... And Selena Vega kind of retweeted something interesting and everything. And so now there's all this talk going around right now. So I just want to get you guys' thoughts on it. Me personally, when I hear about it, one, I think Vince overstepped his bounds. Because right now politicians are commenting on as well, like Andrew Yang and Joe Biden are commenting on well. It's oh shit, they're commenting on wrestling contracts. Mm-hmm. And in addition, I do disagree with it because I'm looking I get they have used your WWE name, the one that WWE made famous. They got to get a cut of that. But I'm if you're using your real legit name, that's overstepping the bounds right there. And that's just my opinion because I'm especially if this will be freelance contractors or whatever, independent contractors, I'm you're very much overstepping your bounds. But what do you guys think?
Justin?
I'm with you. I think it's too much. I from the WWE's perspective, I see the idea of them saying anything of that is your likeness that people see on WWE, we should own and get a cut out of. Doesn't matter if you go by Tia Trinidad or whatever her actual real name is. I think that was her wrestling name before, or if you go by Sarah Knight or whatever. But you still look like Paige. People know you as Paige, and I think that's their perspective. But it's silly, and we've heard in the past, not while people were in the company, but when people leave the company, talking about I got offered this TV show role. I got offered this movie role, but I had to go through WWE and they said I couldn't do it. And then next thing you know, there was a perfect example was when I did the short-lived podcast with Shad Gaspard. We did 3 episodes, NFG Radio. Shad shared the story about how NASCAR wanted him and JTG to come down to NASCAR because Crime Time was so over at that point.
Oh shit, dope.
Crime Time was so over, and they requested Crime Time. But someone, and Shad drops the name openly on the podcast, so I'm going to drop it to you. Shawn Michaels thought that wasn't a good idea and went to Vince, and they sent Cena instead.
Are you serious?
And Shad, the reason why that podcast was called NFG, because there was no F's given, because he's like, oh, I'm not going to go work there again. I'm not in Hollywood now. Let me tell you my stories while we're sitting here in quarantine. So if you guys have never listened to those podcasts, go listen to FG Radio. You tell stories about Stephanie, Triple H, Vince, Cena, all these stories. But that's one of the stories. Like, there's a history of stories of the WWE stopping talent from doing things outside of WWE if they don't think it's either in their best interest or if they don't think that's the talent they want doing it. You know, we'd rather have a John Cena doing it than this person doing it, just, you know, because John Cena's our guy. Kurt Angle said recently in that Stone Cold thing that he was offered to do the Marine. But then after they told Kurt Angle, you know what, we're going to go with John because John Cena was the new guy, you know, like, so they've always had this sort of attitude of controlling the narrative of what their talent does and whatnot. The thing that bothered me about this whole Twitch situation the most, I think, was what we were talking about a little bit off the air, was from what I heard and what I read is that the percentage that the WWE is taking, they're putting it towards the downside guarantees on the contracts that wrestlers have today. You know, downside guarantees weren't a thing for the longest time. But obviously in the late 90s with WCW and Hall and Nash, the downside guarantee thing became a thing. And now most wrestlers have a downside guarantee. Now, I'm going to just, if we have time, explain a little bit of what that is for those.
Yeah, go for it. We're good.
So when you sign a WWE contract, they guarantee that you're going to make a specific amount of money. I'm just going to use $200,000, for example. Okay. You're guaranteed that if you don't even make this much money from touring and merchandise and whatnot, like, you're guaranteed to get paid that $200,000 at the end of the year. No, and the WWE has to make up for it. If you make more than that $200,000 within the year, because you're selling more merchandise, you're making more money from shows and whatnot, then you get that $200,000 plus whatever extra you make. But a downside guarantee is saying you get that regardless. So instead of WWE saying, you know what, we're going to pay, this has been a rough year, obviously, because of the pandemic and whatnot. So instead of WWE saying we're going to pay you from us whatever we can't make up for your downside guarantee this year, we're going to start taking part of it from the Twitch money that you were making yourself anyways on the side as secondary, side hustle income, and we're going to use that for your downside guarantee. That's part of it now, because you're using either your name or your likeness that's on our show, which is kind of like, it's almost like corrupt in a weird way. Like, we're doing something separately. Sorry for using our wrestling names. We're using normal names, making your own money. But now you're putting that towards a downside guarantee. Like, we're doing this on our own hours, on our own time. Like, we're not doing this on WWE time. Like, it's that kind of bothers me, because I get the part like, well, taking out of their own budget to pay these downside guarantees in a year like this might be hard for them. At the same time, you're taking it from money they're already making without you guys. Like, it's a bump.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think what I'm just gonna say about the whole thing, I agree with both of you, but I think a lot of the people that are upset about this, like I would be talking directly to talent. I would just follow in the footsteps of Jon Moxley and FTR. Just go, all right, sure, and just wait out your contract and then get the fuck out of there, because this shit is absolutely ridiculous. Vince, he the only thing he knows is they're making money somewhere else. That's all he cares about, and he wants a piece of that. That's the only thing I can almost 100% guarantee. He doesn't give a shit about them being too inside baseball. He went on TV and was like, "This is all fake. There's good guys and bad guys." You remember that shit? That was like before I think before a Monday Night Raw. Like, everything's about to get more real.
good versus evil is passe.
Yes, he doesn't give a shit. He wants that money is what it is. Yeah. And when you start fucking with people's creativity that they're doing outside of the world and their money, look, man, if you don't want these people to work for your company, just tell them straight up. Because that's what you're doing right now. And honestly, the more I think about it, I haven't really checked how Xavier Woods has been talking about this, but I mean, I think
he's been hit. I have a feeling that he was hit a long time ago, though, because they talk about up, down, down. They give it credit so much, and I feel like they wouldn't do that unless they were already making money off it themselves.
I was just thinking that maybe that could be another, and this is just speculation, that could be another reason why the New Day is not on the same brand.
Maybe, yeah, because the thing about this was that like up, down, down has over 2 million up to 4 million subscribers, something like that right now. And the thing about this was that they do have a lot of wrestlers that come on there and use the wrestling, and they get the permission of them for that, which is like, so I think so. Yeah, I think
there's already a deal in place.
Exactly, Xavier has some kind of weird deal, so he's able to do that with those guys.
They probably already are taking money off of him. They've probably been taking a percentage from him for years now.
Exactly.
I mean, he did change all of his Twitter, all of his social media handles.
I think he still does Twitch, but when it comes to up, down, down, I think they already got a cut in it.
Yeah. So that's a different monster. But the thing about it is, people who may be confused, when you look at other sports industries, they don't operate this way.
Yeah, left, right. Sorry.
Yeah, they don't.
Right. Like when people go outside and get endorsement deals with McDonald's or like basketball lines or whatever, they make their own money outside of that. Russell Westbrook owns a car dealership here in California. It's fucking dope. Shout out to Russell. But you don't see the NBA come out of service and say, "Hey, I need these to cut to those car sales."
Well, I think it's different because there are plenty of like female wrestlers I can think of off the top of my head for some reason, like Carmella and the Bella Twins and whatnot that make money off their own wines and stuff like that. I don't think they're totally against any other outside venture, but I think it's when you're using like, because I mean Carmella, when she's promoting Capo Kanye, like she's saying, "Oh, Carmella Q&A for Capo," like there's something that must have bothered them about the amount of money these guys might have been making on Twitch, or the fact that they were going on these third-party platforms and saying things they probably shouldn't have been saying, like,
I mean, fair. Yeah.
The talking about the business, the talking about the storylines, they're answering fans' questions. AJ talks about Paul Heyman and stuff. Yep. Like, I think that also pushed a couple of buttons because they're mainly mad at Twitch, not really mad at people that are starting wines or clothing brands,
It's weird. And Cameo. And I
think they were mad at Cameo because they realized they could probably just do this themselves.
Yes.
Yeah. And absolutely. And it sucks because the thing about it is, for a lot of people, they get over more on the internet than actually do at WWE. Like there are cats who I love who are in wrestling now, who I fell in love with on Up, Down, Down, the channel, left, right forever. But the Up, Down, Down channel, there are a lot of people who went there who got over big time because Xavier gives them a chance to show off their personalities and win belts and whatnot. That's why I like Sasha Banks' husband. That's why I like dude's dope as hell. And I'm like, I'm following him on Instagram now. I'm like, he's super dope. So that's kind of the second thing about it is that like you're limiting these people. I think of the best example of this is Matt Cardona. When he went over and got himself over as internet champion, like all this stuff and everything like that, and that bled over into WWE. It's like you should allow people to go out and do these things outside of it, because at some point it will make your company money as they become more popular. You just have to be patient and allow them to do these things.
And realistically, man, this is how these people like. This is just a fan perspective. There's way too much talent in the WWE and only so many top spots. And people aren't going to be there forever.
Yeah.
People are just trying to build themselves up before they end up leaving or have to leave or are forced to leave or choose to leave. In the past year, we've seen people create YouTube channels. Peyton Royce, Billy Kay, Liv Morgan, Zelina Vega, and Alistair. Like everybody's making a YouTube channel, building a following there because, Tennille Dashwood, like even if they leave, like they're still got a following. I think people know where we finally, and I know it's been a big deal for the last 10 years, but people are finally understanding the power of social media. Like, you know what I mean? Like how they can stay relevant through social, how AEW is basically built off of being the elite. Like, they get it, Yeah. And I think WWE is scared. I feel like they like to have the power over people. Well, they want to. We've heard the negotiations, right? We've heard the negotiations with the club and stuff, where Triple H goes to Carl Anderson, like, what about your family? Like, you don't know if AEW is still going to be here, but WWE is going to be here for sure. Like, and there's screws up their head. Like, we've heard these conversations that they want to hold that negotiating power. They want to hold that ownership over you. Because even if they do let you go, even if they make you resign like the club and then decide to let you go anyways, they don't want you to, like, I feel like it sounds so negative and like evil, like they're this dark, gloomy company, which I don't really think they are, but they are really corporate. And I do think they want to be able to be like, this is the only place you can work and succeed.
Yeah.
And it's problematic because, to your point, they get over themselves. They're also getting over their family members as well. Like, I always crack jokes on Natalia, but she's dope as hell. She got that YouTube channel with her sister right now.
Yeah.
Her sister's getting over big time. People love her sister because her sister is low-key fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, shit. They just be smacking the shit out of each other. I'm like, this shit's amazing television. And so, so I hope they stop it, and I hope they just make some say it right, because if this does cause the wrestlers to either A, leave, or B, unionize, I don't think unionize is going to happen, because that's such a big, huge thing, and it has like so much stuff that would have to happen. But again, like, if this starts causing wrestlers to leave, I think they will like start to straighten up. And then with politics, like what the politicians are commenting on right now, I think this is only a temporary thing. I'm not sure about you guys, but I don't think they're actually going to push this. Like, I wish they would get involved, but I don't think they are. I think they're just doing it because it's in the middle of campaign season. That's the only reason they're commenting on it.
But to your point, though, wasn't there a deadline? Do you see it by the end of this month?
The end of the month.
It was supposed to be end of September. Yeah, that was the deadline. That's the reason why everyone started changing their names around. But then they put all these new stipulations on top of it recently, so that's why people are getting more upset. But when they start saying we're going to own your names, apparently WWE's meeting with people and renegotiating their contracts. That and that new stipulation now and everything.
It's rough. Yeah,
it's rough.
And you can't even unionize because there's always going to be company men that are going to be like, nope.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a comment from THS, John.
No, I know. I read that and I laughed because it's true too.
Yeah.
Natty's sister.
Why?
All right.
Oh my God.
Do you guys have anything to plug before we get on out of here? Bike Lock.
Tune in on Raw Monday night to see how the draft turns out. See where your boy Bike Lock is drafted to. You don't know the combination.
Oh man, check out TWC Worldwide on Instagram. Make sure you guys follow THS.wrestling if you guys aren't following yet. We're almost at 1,000 followers, and that's we'll get there even faster. We got some conversations to do, but other than that, follow the TWC show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. Same type of situation. Talk about wrestling every week. This past week I had Neeson on there from THS Wrestling. We did a mock draft. I posted those rosters on both THS Wrestling and TWC Worldwide, guys. Go tell me what roster you guys thought was better, Neeson's SmackDown roster or my Raw roster. And what did you guys think actually before we move on really quickly?
I think I looked at I think Neeson's was better.
Oh! Yeah.
I also noticed neither of you drafted Seth Rollins, which I thought was hilarious.
No, I did.
You did?
Drafted Seth and Murphy together. I still took them as a pair.
as a pair. Okay, that's why I looked down and I couldn't see it. I think with Neeson's, he had more makeshift tag teams that I could see being broken up on that brand. So I think that was the only reason why I kind of was like, I think I like that one a little more because you have more to play with. I see
how it is.
I'm looking at both rosters. And I respect your roster, but Neeson did kind of get you into a couple areas because he did a lot of team drafting.
He did. His tag was a good white drive, drafted so many teams.
Exactly, and it was because he has so much. He has a lot of mic skills on the show, and then he got a lot of just great entertainers as well. So, like the fact he got Undisputed Era, he got the
Undisputed Era was a steal, and that was my mistake because I made the rule that if I got the first pick, you get the next two, and then we'll go 2 by 2.
Yeah.
So that was the rule. So I got the first pick, but then he got to make a second and third. Then I got to make my second and third. Like it was like that. So it just made it a little bit more competitive. I made 2 mistakes. I didn't want to draft Bailey. I wanted to draft Carmella. That was my bad. And I shouldn't have drafted Jeff Hardy. I drew a blank because you understand. I told him about this idea 20 minutes before we recorded. I wanted to draft Karrion Kross and Scarlett over Jeff Hardy.
And plus, you made 3 mistakes.
What?
Those 2.
3.
Yeah, and then third, you didn't draft my boy, but Nisa did. You didn't draft Cameron Grimes.
I didn't. I think the show's biased though, so I'm just gonna let it ride. It's cool.
You could be right. Okay, so for me, guys, it was a big
independent wrestling weekend. Go to fight.tv. GCW put out The Collective. There were so many great shows this weekend. I once again was like, you know what? I don't have enough wrestling to watch. Now I have like 7 more shows I have to watch. Go if you want recommendations. Bloodsport was fun. The Black Label Pro show was fun. And For the Culture was an amazing show that straight up on paper, I was like, this is going to be a great show. And it over-delivered. Go check it out. You can buy a bundle or you can buy them a la carte. Fight.tv, The Collective. And Joey Janela's Spring Break was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to watch. Was it really good, Janela's?
It was a lot of fun.
Go ahead, John.
One more thing, just wrestler that I had not seen before this weekend. Be on the lookout. Lee Moriarty is the future of professional wrestling. Check him out. He had a 5-star match with Jonathan Gresham this week. And he had a fantastic week. He fought ACH, Daniel Makabe, a bunch of other people, but I'd never seen him. And I was like, holy shit, this dude is amazing. So.
And don't forget, THS Wrestling is the future of wrestling journalism. So make sure you keep checking out our YouTube channel. Go check out Lisa's interview with Kevin Nash if you haven't seen it yet. It is amazing. It's being quoted everywhere. And then make sure you tune in Monday for my top 10 list of 10 wrestlers who should have been in Retribution. It's really fun. I don't think you'll guess will be a number 1, so make sure you check that out.
And upcoming, just YouTube-wise. Yeah. YouTube-wise, I'm going to do top 10 Halloween Havoc matches. And I think I'm going to do best wrestling masks. I haven't tweaked that one just yet, but we'll be on the lookout for those come Halloween time. But
surely soon the TWC Power Rankings are coming there every week. You get to see who I thought topped the week, who I thought are the people that you should go back and see what they did this past week. But coming soon, yeah.
Awesome. So Facebook.com/THS Wrestling News, Instagram.com/THS.Wrestling, YouTube.com/that hashtag show TV, and Twitch.tv/that hashtag show. I did do another wrestling stream this week. It was a lot of fun. I don't have a schedule for them, but check the Instagram and I will let you know at least 30 minutes before I go live on Twitch and we'll watch some wrestling together. But most importantly, that hashtag show.com for everything trending in geek pop culture. And we'll see you guys